Good.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. Like, that doesn't ever happen anymore,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like, that happens every
happens to us
time.
all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't the first time. But yeah, we're very excited to have Owen Benjamin with us today. So Owen, we usually like the guests introduce themselves. So
Even though you don't really need to be introduced.
But yeah, just
go
go ahead and let everyone know who you are.
My name's Owen Benjamin. I don't know what to say about myself. I really don't. I rarely introduce myself. That's weird. It's an interesting experience. I like pizza. My favorite color is blue. I have 4 dogs, baby and a toddler and a baby on the way. I got 10 chickens, a wheelbarrow, 2 axes. Yeah.
So it must be nice, kind of just living in a small town in New York and kind of being away from, I guess you call it your previous life of living in Hollywood and just
I get to watch from a distance, and to me, I'm just watching this. I can't even explain it. I don't know why more people aren't reacting to the cultural just change that's happened so fast there. Like people that I was and still kind of consider friends, I guess, just not reacting to just madness. And I'm just definitely from a different perspective, from an outside perspective, LA just looks insane now. I don't know if it was always that crazy, but just living a more normal life, I think you get to view just how nuts it is.
Yeah, maybe it's because they're there all the time, so they just find it normal now. So like even like big changes become normal to them.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just like this Roseanne thing. It's just, how do they not care? Like Roseanne Barr just had her show canceled. It was the #1 show in the country, like by far. And because she did a tweet that was called racist because she said that this Iranian lady looks like a combination of the Muslim Brotherhood and a gorilla. And I was just texting with my buddy who's black about that. We're kind of getting an argument about that, but a fun argument. He's a cool dude. But I was like, Bill Maher had a picture of Trump and a monkey. I'm like, they call Trump supporters Trumpanzees. Like, how is that racist? I think it's racist to think that it's a black thing. Like, how is looking like a gorilla black? Like the Irish were depicted as gorillas and monkeys most of American history. Like just drawings of like a drunk monkey Irish guy. It's just, I think Ben Stiller looks like a monkey. So does Sam Harris.
How dare you?
No, but they look kind of like spider monkeys. Like they have those ears that go like that. So does George Bush. Everyone used to say George W. Bush was Curious George. So So to say it's racist is just absolutely like crazy. That's like if I said someone was dumb and someone was like, that's sexist. I'm like, so you're saying women are dumb?
It's like, now who's assuming, right?
Right. Exactly. If I'm like, don't be a cheapskate. It's like, don't be anti-Semitic, bro. It's like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like looking like a gorilla or looking like a monkey. And the argument of like, historically, that's, I don't know, that it's like, oh, well, because of the history of America, it's like, dude, historically, everyone that people want to mess with is called a monkey. I just don't get it. And so she loses her show, and then like all these leftist shows are just never touched. They can do anything.
Well, also, Keith Olbermann was hired back on ESPN. I mean, and he would just be talking, fuck you, Nazi, Trump is, Nazi and all this other whatever nonsense he was going to be tweeting out. And who cares?
Dude, calling someone a Nazi is so offensive.
It is.
It's so offensive. Like I've been called a Nazi like a million times. And it's like, I'm related to Jewish Holocaust victims. Like that's so nuts to do that. I don't care. I'm not offended, obviously. But like if they follow their own rules, that's like insane. Like I had a Jewish grandmother. Like I have blood relatives who've been burned in the fires of Auschwitz. It's like, and they're going to call me a Nazi? Like that's nuts.
Yeah. I don't even take that into context. They're just, anyone who disagrees with them is a Nazi. So
yeah, but see, I don't get why more people like in art don't see that, because art has to have freedom. Like you can't do art without being free to say and do stuff. And it's not like it's one thing if it was Dr. Phil compares a woman to a gorilla. I get that. Like if you're Dr. Phil, like if your whole thing is being like a doctor, but Roseanne Barr is like professionally crazy. Like no, you don't hire her to like not say crazy stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I mean it's just a joke, so I don't know why. And then like, but anything that's a joke on that side can be taken wrong just because of how the climate is now. They just need.
Well, and also, you know, with Roseanne, you know, with the new show or the new season of Roseanne or whatever, her character was, I guess, you know, a pro-Trump supporter or whatever. But then they had, you know, Jackie was a Hillary Clinton, you know, pussy hat wearing, you know, woman, and they had a trans kid on there. And it's, you know, and when you watched it, you felt, okay, well, they're trying to at least, you know, have all types of angles and, you know, make it seem like, okay, this seems like a real family. Not everybody agrees on everything, you know, but because Roseanne said it and she's more, you know, she's more of a pro-Trump person, she has a target on her back.
Oh, yeah. Well, they don't want to show reality. That's the problem. They don't want to show a family where one person likes Hillary, one likes Trump, and they have family issues and people disagree, because that will actually give relief to families and be what comedy should do, which is to help help build a community's ability to get through tension, because but that's bad to authoritarians because they hate families. They're like, if someone doesn't agree with you, you rat them out to the SS. They're just such maniacs.
That's true. It's kind of a crazy climate that we're living in. I mean, you know, like we're basically saying anyone to the right of Bernie Sanders is a Nazi now. And the term Nazi is now so diluted. It doesn't even mean anything anymore.
I know. I'm starting to think these guys had something going for them. I mean, I'm just kidding. Like people start calling everyone Nazis to the point where I'm like, man, I think I like Nazis. Or if anybody that's funny is a Nazi, like imagine being a kid now. Like I am 38, so I get to know how bad the Nazis were. But imagine if now you just keep hearing every comedian that makes a benign joke is called a Nazi, and Donald Trump with a Jewish daughter is called a Nazi. It's like a kid must just be like, oh, these Nazis were like really funny.
Yeah, they don't even know the meaning of the word now, right?
No, it doesn't carry any meaning, because Nazi, the reason it was insulting is because it was authoritarian. And now that's like hip and cool in Hollywood. It's like, we're authoritarian. Do what we say. It's like, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's killing comedy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It helps me. Like I'm crushing just because I won't agree with it. I thought it was going to kill my career, but in fact, it's like the one ship that doesn't get destroyed in Forrest Gump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like the hurricane just blows all these other ships away. And so if you just keep doing comedy in a time where comedy's seen as hate speech, it's like, it's really annoying. I mean, I'm constantly having to defend nonsense, but man, it really, people want it, you know?
Yeah, I remember when you were here, because we went to all three of your shows in Dallas. And this was like right before that thing happened with the transgender kid argument.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, like you were one of the funniest people who we saw. And then like after that happened, then your name just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because it hasn't really affected my stage stuff. It's like I've asked like close friends of mine that have seen me through the years, and I'm like, do I seem angrier on stage, or am I being too political? And people that I really trust are like, no, dude, it's always been like this. They're like, you used to talk a little more about relationships, but I think that's because you were dating. I'm like, good point. Like it's not making me this angry ranter on stage. It's sometimes during YouTube streams I rant, but that's kind of the point. But it's a great time for comedy because the audience is so relieved that someone's actually saying a joke. Because I mean, comedy now is just to berate and to control and just to talk down to people. It's really weird. Politics should not have anything to do with all these conversations. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, we talked to Aaron Berg recently on one of our live streams, and he did and I don't know if you know about the show that he did, but he did a show called White Guys Matter. And it was he, Kevin Brennan, Gino Visconti, and some other people. I think it was Gino Visconti, but some other people in that New York area. and they did that show with that title, and nobody gave a shit. And then Aaron Burr took that show with the White Guys Matter title and brought it to Canada with a different roster. And immediately people were like, "This is offensive! How dare you?" He went on a radio. Yeah, there were protests. He went on a radio show with a lady who was like one of the big people who were going against it, and it was just a big hoopla just because of the title "White Guys Matter." I mean, it's like
insane. I mean, what? No one's protesting dear white people on Netflix, but they shouldn't. Like, I don't mind when people make fun of white people. I don't care at all. That's the thing about truly not being racist in this climate is infuriating, because like when I don't want whites to have an advantage or more or anything. I don't think of myself as like white guy. And I feel like with this climate, you constantly have to almost start thinking that way, because if everything's about identity and demographic, it's like, I'm just so sick of thinking like that. Like as a white male, it's infuriating. It's like a different way. There's people that look at the world in groups, like collectivists. That's why I always mock the left. I hate socialism. And then there's people that look at people as individuals. And the people that look at people as individuals will argue and fight and be friends and enemies and all that. But collectivists versus individualists, they can't possibly have a conversation that doesn't just keep going sideways. It's like the alignment on a car is off. It's like you just can't. Because there's a group of people that I see this with Jordan Peterson all the time, where people just don't understand that he doesn't have an agenda. Like they're like, but what's your intention with saying that? We know what you mean with that. And he's like, I mean what I'm saying. You know, and it's assumed, because when people like use words to trick and manipulate and push an agenda, and they're always like up to something, they see that in everyone else. And when someone isn't up to something, they don't know how to handle it. Like Jordan Peterson is a classic example of that, when he's like, well, I'm against Nazism. And they're like, so that means you are for it. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, when you say that, it means you hate women. And he's like, I might hate you and you're a woman, but that doesn't mean I hate women. And I feel that all the time. It's like, it's a crazy time to actually not think of the world in racial terms. It's just crazy.
Yeah, speaking of Jordan Peterson, we're going to see him speak tomorrow. And I feel like every interview I listen to, like when someone's kind of going at him, he's like saying literal things. And then people will just be like, oh, so what you mean is something else, like something that has to do with identity politics.
Well, they're always trying to get like that gotcha moment.
Yeah.
You know, like,
but it never happens.
See, we told you you're monogamist, whatever the fuck those terms are. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like, and the thing that scares me isn't like the Michael Dysons of the world doing that to him, because obviously there's those forces. It's the amount of people that are okay with it, where they're like, it's the equivalent of like someone's getting raped. There's going to be people that rape people in this world, but having like 100 people on the sidewalk just being like, right on, man. Like that to me is way crazier, because it means your environment is toxic. Like the left uses that word toxic all the time. And it's like, if Jordan Peterson says, quote unquote, how far is too far for the left? Like, give me an example of you guys going too far. And the other person says, the white man hegemony is a preposterous appliance of an appliance with the gender with it. And people are like, I'm like, he's not answering the question or saying anything. And it's like the amount of people that don't seem to care or almost like it. They're like, yeah, you just keep saying nonsense. Like, what does that mean? That person could be my airplane pilot or my bus driver, my kid's student or teacher or a cop, or it's like, I don't know who these nonsense people are.
I feel like whenever he gets a hit piece written about him, that you figure out that there's more people than you thought who think that way. And then that's when you get kind of like, well, maybe things aren't going that well for us then.
Yeah, maybe a meteor drop down on Earth and blow everything up.
Yeah, but the good news is, though, but then you see the vast majority, though, aren't like that. When I say how many people agree with that, I'm not talking – the majority are not. And Peterson's a great example where you look in the comments and it's just inspiring. because it's not toxic. Like if you go on YouTube, like if you go on a non-government curated thing, like a media, like just YouTube, you're like, oh, great. Like everyone loves Peterson. This is great. And then you like look in the New York Times or, you know, watch NBC and you're like, or Vice News, Vice, whatever. And you're like, I can't believe that there's anyone that goes along with these lies.
Do you think that kind of like environment of being, well, you're not really on Twitter anymore because of your ban, but when you're on Twitter, did you kind of see that those types of groups like come to the top and people kind of focus on the people who like oppose Jordan Peterson or like, you know, like the Vice and that type of stuff, but it's not really like that in real life? Or
well, I think there's a government agenda to push those narratives. And so that's why I think Hollywood is a propaganda wing of the government, because they don't seem to care about what people like or ratings or anything like that. It really is to push a certain idea. So that's why in person, even me in the most lefty audience, like I could do Burlington, Vermont. I was there not that long ago doing 6 shows where I'm making fun of Bernie. I'm doing all my stuff. And by the end, you know, I get standing ovations. It's not that like human beings are as bad as they appear sometimes. It's just there's a certain type of human that just goes with the crowd. They're like zebras. Like they have to blend in. And so if you give them another option, they're like, oh, this guy's way more fun to be around. No, forget about all that crazy stuff. I want to hang with that big drunk guy. And the media's whole role is just to make sure that those people stay with government expansion, lowering of the freedom of the individual, all that stuff. And so that's why when you watch mainstream media, it appears like people are becoming just complete Stalinist monsters. But really, it's just they're getting the zebras, the people that just go with the majority no matter what. And it isn't really this widespread thing. It's called astroturfing. It's not grassroots. It's fake grassroots, where they pay people and bots and all this stuff to be like, right on. Oh, that makes total sense. Oh yeah, Tommy Robinson got what he deserved. Like these are fake people, and then it makes the zebra people go with that, which is sad because there's some good zebra people that just they're like, oh, I guess the right answer is to put hormones in 5-year-olds. That makes me tolerant. It's like, dude, just believe what you know is true. But there's a lot of weakness out there.
Yeah, it kind of makes you doubt yourself when you see that kind of stuff in real life because you're like, well, maybe this is normal now. So should I? But your conscience is like, well, that's not right.
Well, yeah. And well, I'm also I've seen so many types of people and done so many things. And I've been entertaining like the most famous celebrities in Hollywood at their parties, like with the same jokes that then a year later could be called racist by the same celebrity. So, and they're like applauding and laughing and telling me how talented I am. So that's why I'm in a, well, A, I've always kind of been stubborn with that, but B, I'm in a position where I know it's wrong, where it's not even just my conscience. I'm like, this is nonsense because this isn't how people really feel. People know men and women are different. People want equality of opportunity, not outcome. Like we all know this. We all know that you can't possibly account for all factors and be like, well, 50% of women and 50% of men should be at Google. It's like, okay, what about ditch digging? What about underwater welding? Same stuff. What about with the wage gap? What about deaths at the workplace? You want to close the death gap? Let's get some more women killed. You know what I'm saying? What about height? There's never been anyone in history to win an Emmy, an Oscar, a Pulitzer Prize, a Nobel Peace Prize, or a Grammy that's my height. That's over 6'5". Not one ever. Isn't that hilarious? The tallest ever was I think John Wayne was 6'4". And the drummer in Fleetwood Mac, I think, is 6'5", and he got a Grammy. But the average height of an awarded human being is probably 5'8". And so I could make an argument that there's infinitely more prejudice against the tall.
Yeah.
But I would never do that because I'm not insane and I don't care.
Yeah.
I always forget how tall you are, but I remember when you were standing next to us, because I thought he's pretty tall, but then when you're standing next to him, he looks like a midget. So
yeah, I'm like a mystical giant.
Yeah, he is. Mystical giant. Yeah.
Like I'm literally like, hello, my name Owen. That's how people look at me. It's not even like the tall that women like women like tall guys, but I'm so tall that it's almost like it's just a whole different thing. It's almost like people look at you not like, oh, tall guy. They're like, giant, like big friendly giant. They're like, can I jump in your ear and can we run into the clouds?
Go on adventures, right?
Yeah, adventures.
wait, how tall is your wife? I forgot.
5'5".
Okay, that's a pretty tall for a woman, actually. So,
yeah,
or at least to me, I'm like 5 foot. So
big height difference between them.
I know, right?
Maybe 5'4". I don't know. I never really asked her. Like all you normals, you all look the same to me.
Normals. How dare you say that to us?
I'm an old heightist. You know, I just anyone under 6'3", I don't think should be allowed to vote.
Oh man, there'd only be like what 200 people left.
Yeah.
Damn straight. Just me and the Clippers.
And then there's that one joke that you say about that there's no like older people who are that tall. So
no, we die young.
He's gotta make the most of his time here.
Yeah, by voting.
Make his mark.
That's exactly right.
I wanted to ask you about your Twitter thing and everything, and like with you and Anthony Jeselnik and how that went down. I think that to me was the funniest one because Anthony Jeselnik is known as to be this edgy comic and this risque. He has balls. He says whatever he wants, and then you say something. He's like, I don't like what you said. Get off Twitter. I'm blocking you. I'm like,
such a pussy.
Yeah, and so anytime I get a chance to reply to any of his tweets, because he doesn't tweet that much, like he doesn't tweet every day, but whenever he does, and I feel like it's appropriate, I'll say something along the lines of like, man, I really want to know what your friend Owen Benjamin thinks about such and such topic. I really miss that guy.
That's hilarious. And also just keep hammering him that he got what's that called? Fat sucked out of his ass. He got liposuction.
Oh, really?
In his ass. And that's because what happened with him is someone said that he was saying that I was alt-right. So I was like, all right, Anthony Jeselnik gets liposuction sucked out of his ass. And because that's how I learned that as a heckler at a Renaissance fair. You don't engage in the debate of whether or not I'm alt-right, because then I'm almost giving ground there. It's almost like if someone's like, you're a three-headed monster, and I'm like, no, I am not a three-headed monster. It's almost like then I'm a little more a three-headed monster. Like just engaging in a debate about whether or not I'm a nonsense word, it just is so boring that I'm just like, he got liposuction in his ass, and he really did. Like a nurse that worked there said that nobody really knows about that either. That's a true story. He got liposuction in his ass, which kind of reveals like an edgelord like that. It's so funny. I wouldn't even make fun of that if he was like just like a normal actor or something, or just a dude. But the guy that makes fun of like bombing victims the day of a terrorist attack, gets liposuction out of his ass. And so then he blocked me and he was like, I don't want my name on your racist lips or something. And I'm like, I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, bro, you're like a Kardashian with your ass.
Yeah.
Like I don't think a lot of these famous people, these Hollywood people, realize how little respect normal guys give them. Like they're like, dude, you're a pussy. Like you're not impressive. Like I don't want your approval. Like you got fat sucked out of your already flat ass. Like he doesn't have an impressive ass. I'll tell you that. It's flat.
Maybe that's why Amy Schumer broke up with him.
And probably because, he's probably also probably gay. I mean, what guy sucks fat out of his ass that doesn't fucking, blow dudes and stuff?
A really vain person.
So in other words,
it's the type of vanity. It's I picture Anthony Jeselnik like the type of gay guy that isn't even attracted to guys. He's just so attracted to himself that like the closest thing to himself is another guy. That's how I picture him. And I think I might be completely right about that.
He probably looks at the mirror and just masturbates like oh my gosh.
I mean, I've heard he's gay as hell too. I mean, that's another thing.
I mean, in LA, that's, pretty normal, so it wouldn't surprise me. Being gay is like the thing to be, over in LA in that area.
I just get weirded out by closet gay guys. I'm fine with gay guys. I'm weirded out by anyone that's like really hiding who they are like all the time. Because then I start thinking like, oh, so you're like really good at hiding everything. And like, what else are you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't trust the self-hating closet type. I'm more into the ones that are like, yeah, my name is Gary and this is Steve and we blow each other and it's great. And I'm like, oh, good for you guys. But if someone's like a weirdo, like gay undercover guy, that's the dude you can't go camping with. You know what I mean? Just start whacking you off.
I had that SNL sketch, with Adam Sandler and Alec Baldwin, the Boy Scouts, and Adam Sandler's that, young kid, Boy Scout, and Alec Baldwin's like, hey, so you wanna hang out a little closer? And he's like,
Yeah. It was Canteen Boy.
Yeah, there you go.
Canteen Boy. I just opened up my shirt here, Canteen Boy. Hey, I just don't know what this is. I mean, SNL used to be so funny. It was like crazy funny. It's so dumb. Yeah. It's so bad.
Yeah, back when he was on it, they were called like the bad boys, of SNL and all that. And now it's like, how much more jokes can we talk about Trump? Because we haven't squeezed that one out all the way,
Oh, I know. And it's like, and if anyone calls me a hater for saying that, it's like, okay, name the last movie star that's come from SNL or any like massive touring comedian. Like, show me one person that the public was like, yes. Back in the day, it was like Sandler, Rock, Farley, Spade, even like Tim Meadows, Phil Hartman. Like, it was just bam, bam, bam. Will Ferrell coming in. It was just like now it's like I can barely name any. I like Bobby Moynihan, but I don't even think he's on anymore.
No, he's not anymore. Because he had a TV show that lasted for like 2 seconds on CBS. That's why he left, actually, because he had that show on CBS and then it got canceled after.
Well, I mean, he did tweet that some lady looked like a gorilla.
Oh, is that why?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's why. That's why if their show canceled.
Yeah, Roseanne gets it, and she took that from Bobby Moynihan. That's why she was like,
she was actually being hacky.
Yeah.
The thing that always got me, that would annoy me, is when I got called a racist over and over again, when people didn't understand sarcasm. Like, they didn't get the joke, so they just freaked out. That, to me, was the most annoying. When it's like, when that Black Panther movie came out and the whole marketing push was like, finally, a movie that Black people can relate to because the main characters are Black. And I was thinking in my head, like, dude, I had Michael Jordan posters on my wall as a kid. This is so stupid. Like, white people love relating to anybody. So does everybody. I used to like NWA as a kid. It's like, so then my tweet was, I saw the trailer for Black Panther. No white people. Garbage. Pass. Who am I supposed to relate to? And all these people took it seriously. They're like, well, it's time that, you guys got Captain America. And I was like, I was going along with it with Jeffrey Wright, that famous actor, and also that sputtering jackass Don Cheadle was like, you are being just historically, we deserve a movie or whatever. I'm like, bitch, you've played a superhero. You're Black. Do you need a mirror stat to whack off to?
Well, he's got a point. I mean, he's got a point, though. He's second fiddle to Iron Man, who's a white guy. So maybe Dasha's got a point,
He's a moron. I was like, I was like, yeah, you got Hotel Rwanda. Well, guess what? I wrote Motel Rwanda, but it didn't even get produced. Like, I was just playing with him. And he wasn't, And he wasn't getting the joke for so long. And then finally he got it. And see, that's the thing, is when people do that, they reveal their bigotry. Like the fact that they think that's even possible is insane. And so then they get embarrassed. And they get embarrassed at like someone that they considered an idiot. Like people look at me sometimes like I'm going to be this big white, like ex-athlete looking like moron. And then they start realizing that I'm wrapping them up in a little ball, and just hundreds of people are now mocking them. Like, Don Cheadle, you just got bitch slapped. And I'm like, what are these people going to do in response? And then I'm banned for life from Twitter. You know, that one picture I did with all the late night comedians. Yeah. It said they support the same candidate, same stance on everything. Ladies and gentlemen, comedy. It got like 50,000 retweets. Like it was embarrassing, these people. And so they had to get rid of me.
I still think it's sad. I enjoyed your tweets.
Yeah, I don't miss it anymore. I did for a bit. I don't like the hypocrisy of it, but if someone gave me a Twitter account back, I don't even think I'd really do much with it.
Probably gets out all the, I don't know. I feel like being on Twitter kind of makes you see all the toxicity. And then when you get away from it, then you're like, wow, it's not that bad anymore. Yeah,
you see what real life is like. Because everyone has their life on social media and everyone thinks that's what life is like. You know, but then when they got off the phone for a few hours or whatever, they're like, oh, I guess it isn't so bad as I think it is. When social media tells me, social media tells me white people are terrible. And then they have like all their interactions with white people. Like, hey, have a nice day. I'll give you, oh, thanks, appreciate it. And it's like, they weren't trying to kill you or anything, you know?
Oh, no. But the problem is it's starting to actually change real life, because it's so much of it now that now you're off Twitter and you're like, man, people don't really look at each other as much as they used to. You really start noticing that there's no kids playing in the street anymore. You know, you never just see like a kid running around. It's just it's weird. It's like there's less community activities. There's less trust between strangers. I'm starting to really see that like people are so wrapped up in their own little hate bubbles that they just start assuming people really are bad. And it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird to witness. But I mean, Twitter's way worse than real life though. Don't get me wrong, but it's still rubbing off on real life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If Twitter became real life, then we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
It's like a Black Mirror episode, you know, where there's an episode of Black Mirror where everyone's like rating each other, like, you know, social points or whatever. And yeah, it's crazy.
It's already happening. Yeah. Like, it's so nutty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you're kind of going backtracking to what we were talking about before, but like you mentioned Tommy Robinson and what's going on with him. You know, you made a song about what's going on with him, and with the help of with all the unbearables and all that.
Yeah.
You know, what's your I mean, obviously you have your thoughts on it, but
I think it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, like ever. I think that's like, so, because the one big thing is you can't imprison your political rivals, because once you do that, like people got to seriously read up on like the fall of Rome and stuff like that. It's like I was against putting Hillary Clinton in jail, like when Trump won, because that sets a precedent that if you don't win, you'll go to jail. And so then people don't leave office, like Julius Caesar. So like, okay, so that's the political side. Now journalists. Okay, so now you have journalists that if you don't agree with what they're writing, and if you think it's okay that they go to prison, they're going to do it to you. It's only going to, like, whatever people inflict on someone else, if they're okay with the freedoms being lost of someone else, it will always come back. It happens. It's 1,000 for 1,000. That, you know, that's what I would tell my friends in Barack Obama's era about gun control. And they're like, oh, we should have gun control. And I'm like, well, that's because you trust Barack Obama to figure out who should have guns. I'm like, now picture your worst nightmare having the same power. And then they would take guns from you. And they're like, oh, that's never going to happen. Then Trump got elected. And I thought that they'd get the message I was trying to say, but they didn't though. They're still like, yeah, still give up your guns though. I'm like, to a guy you're calling Hitler?
Yeah.
Like, No, but it's madness. It's mass madness. And a lot of it has to do with people that are just really dumb and they weren't raised right. Like, we're now witnessing what human beings end up like when their parents didn't raise them, or they like babied them. They gave them trophies, that they're I don't know. They're like, it's just, kids need moms and dads, man. It's just, they end up just,
say now.
What's that?
Apparently that's controversial to say now, because I've said that a few times and people are like, wow, that's pretty, I don't know, that's offensive to some people who might not have a dad. And I'm like, well, it's the truth. Those are statistics.
It should also be offensive to the guy that may be thinking about abandoning his family. Why don't we start offending the bad dads?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was a kid and my dad abandoned me and I grew up and I heard someone say that, I'd be like, thanks. Someone's finally saying it sucked not having a dad. That's the thing. Everyone keeps thinking it's those people that are going to be offended, when in reality, it's like this trans kid nonsense. If you look up how many celebrities now have trans kids, it's just like, it's crazy how many of these celebrities have kids with like horrifying gender dysphoria. And the trick is that they make themselves seem like the victim. Like, the celebrity is like, I have a trans kid. I'm like, then you raised your kid bad. Like, if your 5-year-old thinks that it's a girl or a boy when they aren't, and then you reinforce that, and then they think that they're going to get approval from their dad or mom because of that, and then before you know it, they're in a class of people with a 40% suicide rate. Like, you're a terrible parent. Like, Chaz Bono didn't turn out great. Like, these people are not well raised. And so then the celebrity makes it seem like they're the ones that are the heroes, where they're like, well, I am tolerant of my trans child who's a murderer. You're like, you're raised your kid bad. Like, tolerant, we shouldn't be tolerant of you. Like, you're abusing your kid, and the kids are the ones that are like I get emails all the time of like, when I say some of these outrageous things about not abusing children, of people being like, I was raped by my stepdad. I'm glad, thank God that you're bringing light to the safety of a nuclear family. All this, like this whole chaos is awesome. Yeah, great. Not for kids. Kids like order. Kids like the consistency. Kids like when getting up at the same time, going to bed at the same time. They like their dinosaurs. They like the same game over and over again. They like their favorite hoodie. Like, you're not going to get that in this nonsense world of like, just because I have a penis doesn't mean I can't be a breastfeeding Chinese woman. You're like, yes, it does, though. Like, yes, it does. And your nonsense will hurt kids. And so that's why I am passionate about this, because this is just the beginning. Imagine what 20-year-olds are going to be like in 10 years. These are kids raised in like the 80s and 90s. Imagine kids raised in like, and I know it's about being raised properly, because I know a lot of millennials and even younger people that are awesome. And they were just raised right. Like, it's not about the generations, it's not technology. I know kids that were born when the cell phone had already been invented, and they're fine. They're like really genuine, cool people. And it's like, it's the nonsense people that are just, that don't respect family, don't respect rights, don't respect basic social codes and order, constitutional rights, stuff like that. Facts, historical, obvious facts, debate, being tolerant of someone else's ideas. The big trick was different shades of skin will allow people to feel like they're being diverse, and then they all have the exact same idea on everything, and there's no debate. So you're diverse, but really not at all. You're diverse in how much sun your skin can take. What about your how you believe, like your views on the free market, your views on healthcare, your views on war? Like, you all agree on all of that, but yet your skin tone differences allow you to claim diversity. It's like, there's no diversity. Diversity is debate, friction. You set up rules to a debate, and the best idea wins. And that's why I've been pushing more and more towards the right, more and more towards liberty-based thoughts, because that's the right answer. The more you argue it down.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't even know what to say after that. That's like perfect.
Yeah.
I know that you have to travel, so I don't want to keep you too long, since you have to get up really early. So.
Yeah, 2 a.m.
Great.
Yeah.
Great time to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
That's like
So
when I go to bed.
yeah. So let everyone. Where are you going to be heading to, and all your upcoming tour dates and all that?
Well, they're sold out. So but it was Portland. Now I feel like I'm being cruel, but you could have come to to Portland, Bellevue. Actually, there's still tickets in Richland, Washington. So that one's still in Eastern Washington. But YouTube.com/Owen Benjamin Comedy for live streams, and it's a good place right now to find out what's going on with me, because they tried to ban me. They gave me 2 strikes. I couldn't upload anything, but then I got it. My buddy, who's like good in that world, to like go in on my behalf, and now I have no strikes again. And I feel like now I'm in a better spot, because I think a higher up person really got to see the insanity of it and how much like money they were losing by not letting me just upload videos or do live streams. It's just like, I think I'm going to have a better shot at keeping my YouTube now that I've had like legal representation.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, they are a bunch of commie psychopaths, so you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But hopefully it goes well for you, because I know you're doing really well on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, things are good. I can't complain, to be honest with you. I just, that's one reason why I feel obligated to talk about stuff like society, and because I feel like I'm doing so well that it's as an adult, you know, person, I should like try and give back to like my knowledge to people or anything that I can, you know, because I've been so lucky that I was raised in a time when I could go on stage and say the funniest things I could, and rise from it and get a career and get a great family and get a house that, you know, like I'm safe, I'm good. So that almost makes me feel like lights a fire even more, because I see people 20, 22, 24 years old that don't have the opportunities I had. They're gone. Like some of these people can never just go on stage at the Improv and tell a hilarious joke without thinking like, will this get me in trouble? It's like, dude, watch Daniel Tosh, Zach Galifianakis, 2005. Just watch those guys. There was no rules, and that's what made him so funny. Same with Sarah Silverman. And then Silverman turns into this like statist witch. And it's like, you were brilliant, Sarah Silverman, and now you are going to slam the door for everyone else that wants to rise. And I think a lot of it has to do with these people that have no interest in family. They're like no long-term relationships, no desire for any children or anything. They just are like, it's all about them. It's like Anthony Jeselnik wants a perfect ass, and he'll never get it.
Might as well stop trying as the head, right?
That's right, dude. Don't work on your ass, Anthony. Work on your damn jokes. Well, good times. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Oh, I'm in. I'm always in. Let me know. All right, peace.
All right, have a good night.
Safe travels.
Bye.
Bye.